My name's Dyslexy, and in cooperation with Bohemia Interactive, I'm creating a series of videos to explain some of the basics of Arma 3.
So, you want to learn how to Zeus? Well, it is simple. Just make sure that you are not shit, and that you can grab the slot fast enough, lest you be taken on a wild ride by a shitty Zeus. There is no hell more real than a shit Zeus.
Alright, when you first spawn in a Zeus, you may or may not notice, depending on the mission, that you're in a first-person view. This is because in the world, Zeuses are represented by characters. Don't worry though, they're usually invincible. Simply press the key Y on your keyboard and that'll bring you back to the Zeus view. Next off, you may notice that next to you there is another person standing. This is probably your fellow Zeus. You want to stay as close to him as possible because Zeuses communicate in local. On your Zeus view or Zeus control screen, you'll have two main components: the edit section and the create section. As you can probably assume, the edit section is for editing pre-placed entities, troops, objects, such as deleting them, jumping to their locations, etc. And the create section is for creating new enemies, objects, vehicles, etc. Alright, let's get right into it. In a lot of missions, when you first spawn, you won't be able to actually do anything until you place a respawn. So there's three different types of respawns: one for Blue 4, one for Op 4, one for Independence. Sometimes you might have a civilian respawn, but that's mission based. Additionally, if the players have already spawned, don't bother placing a respawn, it'll break the mission. In the past, people have attempted to place respawns to give infinite life to players in missions, and it's just ended up breaking the mission. So, at the top of your create bar you'll notice units, groups, modules, markers, and recent. Let's head on over to units. Once again, below that you'll notice Blue 4, Op 4, Independent, Civilian, and Empty. Both the units bar, which spawns individual units and objects, and the groups bar, which spawns groups of objects and units, will have the Blue 4, Op 4, Independent, Civilian, and Empty sections. So let's start by using single units. For starters, I'm going to use a Blue 4 officer. I can spawn him in by clicking him on the menu and clicking him wherever I want him to spawn. Additionally, I can rotate him by holding down Shift and clicking and dragging, like so. If I want to change his altitude and put him on top of a building, such as this one here, simply move him into position, hold down Alt, and click and drag. You'll notice that when I'm moving him, it snaps onto the building. This indicates that it is safe to let go and place him on the building. Additionally, if you hold down Alt and lift him high into the air, he'll parachute in. This is good for organised paradrops on players. Let's look at setting up units, their movements, stances, and attitudes. If you double click the small circle below the unit, it'll open up the edit menu for the unit where you can set their rank, their stance, their health, and the armour and their skill. So we're going to set this guy to stand, and we'll put him on sergeant and set his skill to about medium. If you double click the box hovering above them, you can also edit their formation in combat mode as well as their speed and stance again. So we'll set him to relaxed, and since he's not in a squad we won't worry about formation. And we'll set his speed to limited. Now that he's all set up, if I right click where I want him to go, he'll walk the path. Additionally, if I hold down Control and right click different places, I can set a multi-stage path for him. You'll notice here I've spawned two riflemen. If I click on one and hold down Control and drag him onto the other, I've created a squad of two. You can now edit both using the square hovering above the squad, such as their formation. Keep in mind that they won't form formation when they're in relaxed combat mode.
Form line.
Not only can you spawn infantry in the create menu, but you can also spawn vehicles. So for example, if I click cars And let's go Hunter. I've spawned a Hunter successfully as part of the NATO side. You'll notice that there is already a guy inside it. You can also form squads that are a mix of both vehicles and infantry. Watch as I attach these guys to this person's squad as well as the vehicles. They will now drive into formation. Let's send them for a little walk.
Get out the way!
As you can see, sometimes the AI gets a bit finicky. When you want to delete an object, simply click on it and press delete. If I spawn another one, I'll show an example of how you can also click it on the edit menu and delete it. Additionally, you can also drag and select multiple objects and delete them, as well as deleting multiple objects from the edit menu. The rules of changing location and changing altitude also apply to groups and vehicles. Observe as I click the box to select them all, and then rotate them from the squad lead. Now observe how I parachute them in as a whole squad. This is different for when you're changing the altitude of aircraft. Observe as I change the altitude of this jet. Instead of parachuting in, it flies. Or this helicopter. Alternatively, helicopters can be ordered to take off by themselves. Now, let's move on. As we cover Blue 4, Op 4 and Independent are relatively as expected. Civilians include a few other particular things, but mostly we want to focus on Empty. With Empty, you can spawn empty vehicles such as off-roads, or Zamax, as I've just spawned, or even aircraft. The difference between these and spawning them from their coloured counterparts are that they remain unmanned when spawned. Note that while you can paradrop in empty land vehicles, as provided, you cannot paradrop in empty air vehicles. They will simply drop and hit the ground. It's not just vehicles that can be spawned in the empty menu. You can also spawn ammo, items, props such as furniture and wrecks, as well as buildings, explosives, and statics such as turrets. Let's go ahead and spawn some explosives right now. I'm going to place 2 large IEDs. And let's go ahead and send a car at them. In addition to being able to delete stuff, you can also press end to kill it. So, if we send this car at the explosives, select both explosives and press end as the car approaches. They will explode. Whereas, if we had have just pressed delete, it would have deleted the explosive. Uh-oh. Looks like he just killed a CSAT officer. Let's punish him. Instead of pressing delete to delete a unit, you press N to kill them. This can provide a more natural death if players have eyes on the situation. It's kind of immersion breaking watching something get deleted. Let's go ahead and place an ammo box. I'm going to select a basic ammo NATO crate. You might notice there that I had a bit of lag. That's completely natural when spawning ammo boxes for the first time. Every ammo box has a default loadout. If we press clear, we can select what we want. In this case, I'm going to put 5 Cativas in it, and click OK. Whenever a player accesses that ammo box, they will be able to select the Cativas. Additionally, to reward the players, you can in fact also paradrop ammo boxes. Let's go ahead and look at group spawning. I'm going to select the groups menu, and maybe I'll spawn an infantry rifle squad. There, a preformed squad. you'll be able to order a preformed squad around, as well as editing them, changing their formation, combat mode, speed, stance and other things, just like you would any unit. There's a few different kind of squads. It's not just infantry, you can also spawn vehicle squads. I'm going to use props from the empty menu to create a small outpost. But you know what? Instead of creating it piece by piece, I'm going to select the groups menu, select empty, and create a military base that's already been pre-created. There. Simple. I'm going to create a truck to deliver troops towards the players to challenge them a bit more. So, let's go ahead and spawn an empty Tempest transport. That'll do. Then we'll go to groups and select an Op4 rifle squad. That's a good one. Additionally, I want to get a driver, so I'll just quickly get an officer to drive it. There are two ways to cause units to embark on vehicles. The first way is to simply right click the marker of the vehicle when you've got another unit selected. He'll run and hop in. The other way is to simply click and drag. For now, I'm going to click and drag the whole squad into it. Here they are now. So they've arrived at location. I'm going to select them and press the G key to cause them to disembark. Alright, let's get to the fun stuff. I'm going to select the modules menu. As you notice, there's varied groups that I can select from the modules menu. With the little symbol next to AO behaviors, arsenal equipment, reinforcements, save loads, spawn teleport, and utilities, I'm just going to skip those options for now, for they're a little bit more advanced. Let's start with animals. Spawning animals are pretty much just animals. With the audio menu, you can select play music, radio messages, and sound. Some people have music disabled, as well as the fact that music is kind of fucking annoying. So, you could use it, potentially, to put thrill into a situation, but I avoid it. You can also play sounds like alarms. These sounds will play indefinitely until the marker is deleted. Chem lights are simply chem lights. They'll burn out as fast as normal chem lights would. You can't really see them during the day though. I'll be skipping the Curator presets menu, as once again that's a little bit more advanced. But if you want to experiment, feel free to. With it, you can create animations, actions, cause people to disembark from vehicles and more. The effects menu only contains IR grenades and traces. IR grenades will function exactly the same as IR grenades thrown by a player. However, traces will create an invisible source of gunfire that will fire into the air. Be sure that players don't see this, as it just comes from nowhere. It's a good thing to have in the distance. Environment includes post-processing, skipping time, acceleration of time and weather. Let's take a look at post-processing. In it, you can use effects such as black and white, Mediterranean and others. They can kinda be alright, but most of the time people complain. In order to select one, simply pick what you want and press OK. When you delete the marker, it will not change the effect back. You have to replace the marker and change it back to none, or double click the pre-placed marker and change it. The skip time function is an extremely useful tool to skip from day to night. Let's use it now. Let's go and change it to midnight. That sounds like a good idea. For us, it will instantly change. But for the players, not so. Press N to use night vision. For the players, it will fade to black and tell them how much time has passed, so you want to avoid skipping time when the players are in vehicles or engaged in a firefight. On top of night vision, you can also press N once more to use thermals. Let's take a look at time acceleration. Place the marker, and you can accelerate time to your fitting. At the max, 1 day will equal 24 minutes. You can also bring it down and pause the time acceleration, so that it stays the same time all the time. With the weather module, you can change from clear to cloudy, overcast, rainy, and stormy. I'm going to set it to rainy. Wow, that's a bit more atmospheric. Alright, let's... wait, should I use fog? You would think that fog would be more atmospheric, but you would be... Fog is currently bugged. When you increase the fog, you can only decrease it client side, so players will remain fogged. Don't touch fog. Let's look at fire sport. As you notice, we'll have howitzers, rockets, mortars, gun runs and missile strikes. Let's go ahead and call in a howitzer. If we hold down control, we can click multiple times and issue 5 howitzer strikes. Whoa! That seemed to have leveled the windmill, but we need something bigger. Let's go ahead and call in a rocket strike. Whoa, that's a big area of influence. The area of influence indicates where players will take damage. If they're outside the ring, they're fine, but inside, they will take damage or die. Lastly, there's the mortar. Let's have a look at gun runs. I'm just going to call in a gun and missile run. Let's use the buzzard. You can rotate it to see where you want it to come in from. Ah, here it comes now. The jet that comes and does the run one is a real jet. It can be shot down and the gun run can be prevented. Bye bye. Flares can be used as flares. They have a relatively short life and will burn out pretty quick. But they do illuminate the area heavily. Some missions you play will already have pre-placed objectives, but in case they don't, you can use objectives such as attack and defend, neutralize, protect and custom objective, as well as more in order to make the player's experience. Let's try use a custom objective. Alright, I'm going to set it so that only Blue 4 gets the objective. And we'll set it as the assigned objective. Alright, they're going to meet at the road. But they won't know where the road is, so we're going to make sure that module position is selected on destination. When they look on the map, they'll see the objective where we've placed it. Alright, let's set a description for them. Alright, let's click OK. Looks like they're here. So let's double click our objective and select Succeeded. You'll receive no pop-up, but be assured they've received a pop-up saying they've completed the objective. Let's look at smoke shells. As you can see, I've just plopped blue smoke. You can use one of 7 colours, but the more you pop, the less smoke will come out of each one. They last as long as a smoke thrown by a player. Looks like this unit seems to be having a trouble day. I think we'll make it more trouble for him, just to be nasty. Let's select Punishment, click it on him, and make him do some push-ups. In the Zeus modules menu, there are 3 options: Arsenal, Remote Control, and Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt is pretty immersion breaking unless you're in a heavy storm, but if you really need to use it, it's pretty destructive. I would advise avoiding it at all costs. The Arsenal module allows you to select individual units and go into the arsenal. Let's load into it now. Alright, now that I'm in the arsenal, I'm going to change his gun. Cool. Let's press escape. We've now selected him a new gun. In order to learn how to better use the arsenal, please see the boot camp on the main menu. Alright, let's take a look at the remote control module. If we select it and select a unit, we can actually physically take control of the unit. Whoa. Press Y to exit the unit once more. Be careful when controlling a unit, as sometimes players can tell that a Zeus is controlling them. Alright, let's look at scenario flows. We've got briefing, which you can alter the briefing with, a countdown, which will issue a countdown to the end of the mission, respawn tickets for issuing how many times players can respawn from the selected respawn modules, or scenario name. But I think we're done here, so let's select end scenario and place it on the ground. I'm going to say we succeeded. Good job, Guillaume. Lastly, I forgot to mention, selecting something on the edit menu and pressing F will make your Zeus jump directly to it. Additionally, if you press M to access the map, and middle click anywhere on the map, your Zeus will teleport to it. Be sure to check out my theory video.